All right, welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to Tomboy Official. I was just recording for like 18 minutes and was just like half awake doing it, just like mumbling around. So I'm like, let me actually just stop and start over again. I mean, we all know I'm ending my job, so I don't need to go into too much details of it. But today I have some sessions planned. I think I have about 5 things I have to do today. But it's been great being in San Diego, you know, seeing friends, catching up, kind of seeing realistically what it's going to look like moving back. I mean, things are probably going to change over time, but I don't know. Yeah, my folks kind of want me to stay with them for a couple years and just get a down payment for a house. I don't think I'm patient enough to wait two years or so. I mean, it probably wouldn't take that long, honestly. Like, I have to see, like, but, I mean, I have quite a bit of money, not like that, but, like, I don't have a lot of expenses, so, like, I don't own anything. I don't have a lot of stuff to pay for. So, I'm about to make one final payment on something, and I think that's the last payment I have to make on anything. So, yeah, other than student loans, which I'm not even considering that right now because I don't really know what's actually happening with all that stuff. But yeah, I just have one more thing to pay off. I'm just gonna pay it off. It's like $600, so I'm gonna just pay that off. But yeah, I'm really glad to be in San Diego. But yeah, I've kind of been noticing, you know, I guess what I would say, like, I'm not really planning on, like, I never really saw for myself or visualized for myself or seriously thought about wanting or needing to date or live with a person or have like a long-term like life partner or marriage or something along those lines. Like, I don't think I've ever really seriously sat down and thought about that as like a realistic thing that I would see for myself as far as like a wedding or anything like that. But I've kind of thought about, you know, what it would be like, what the situation would be like with a partner and living with them. Like, that was kind of almost it wasn't, that option was available at one point in time, but also at that time, you know, I'm not saying that the person wasn't a hardworking individual. They were, but I mean, I was the one with more of like this steady 9 to 5, but only making like $18 an hour. This is like back in like before 2019. So yeah, and then they had kids and stuff too. I think that was the first time that it ever came up about, like living with somebody. It's not just like a casual roommate or like a family member. And I don't think I was too into the idea. I was always like mostly interested in just kind of dating and hanging out and like not really trying to necessarily like move in together. I need to start getting ready. I got like 5 or 6 minutes to start logging in. The time is just flying this morning, but yeah, I was kind of talking with one of my friends though about just kind of the reality of like, you're kind of living single, if you will. I don't know if people even know the reference to that show. With like Martin Lawrence. No, Martin Lawrence wasn't in that, was he? But yeah, Living Single was a show with a bunch of women who were basically black women living a single life. I think it was Queen Latifah. Who was in that one. Just turning on all my devices. But yeah, I've been having a good time. It's a little, for me, I get a little drained when I'm like thrown off of my routine. And I'm way off my routine today, this week. At least I have work, but I'm working from the hotel. And I'm gonna go in, not tomorrow, but the day after. That's my last day in. The week is just flying by, but let's see. I gotta try and get kind of dressed here. I have a meeting in about an hour, so I don't know. I like to just be dressed and ready to go instead of waiting for the meeting to get dressed. So it's just crazy. I only brought like one t-shirt with me. I did not think that through, but dang, I thought I brought more shirts. I have one t-shirt of the shirts I actually like. All right. So I'm kind of like getting dressed and trying to talk. But yeah, I have one t-shirt of the shirts I actually like to wear. And a few button downs. Because I think I'm going out tomorrow and the next day. Then I have a concert to go to the day after. We might get rained out, guys. It's raining down here in San Diego. It was raining last night. It was raining this morning. It's supposed to rain on the weekend, the day of the concert. But it doesn't really say what time. I don't have access to that information yet. So, yeah. got to log in. I got like 2 or 3 minutes to log in. And like I said, I don't have anything till 9. So, yeah, I'm still trying to like see exactly what I'm doing for today, but I still have a few days, so I'm not really rushed. I don't know. I'm trying to log in here. Of course it's not going to be easy to log in. I'm just going to log in on my work phone. Our computers are so slow loading up that it's like it'll make you late to log in. So, alright, let me just get checked in. Alright, I'm checked in. So now I'm good to go. It's 8 o'clock. I'm checked in, ready to roll, ready to go. Let me put in my headphone. Alright, so I rambled for about 10-11 minutes there. So for those of you who like the rambling, that's for you. Still getting it together this morning, but yeah, like that's basically what we were talking about when it comes to, cost of living. I mean, I haven't really done the math on it, but like I was saying, like, 2 people, 2 incomes, but it is a little hard, I'd say, because I don't know how much is out of, like I don't know, I've never done the math on it, so I'm like, I don't really know what the expenses really look like. So yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, like, what it actually could be, but like out here, it could help to have 2 incomes at least, because like I mentioned, my friend who's renting an affordable, it's not considered like affordable living apartment, but like renting an apartment, $1,850 for a 1-bedroom upstairs in a neighborhood that's I mean, it's an okay neighborhood. Like, the thing I like about it is that it's near a bunch of like bars, restaurants, a few clubs and stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff near there, but it's maybe not it might not be the safest neighborhood, but it looks fine. Like, it's like fine, like there's nothing really like wrong with it. It's just the specific space has issues. But yeah, just like if I didn't know anything about it from that person's perspective, I wouldn't really think, to get any concerns. But yeah, like, I'm basically finding, this trip to be just pretty nice. It's just, my dreams are off, my energy is kind of off, my sleep has been off for a few days, so it's just a little, hard, like kind of pacing myself. Like, when you kind of like almost like emotionally or like shut down, that's kind of how I'm kind of feeling. Like, it's a pretty big emotional drain. Today, like these last few days, like, I mean, I think it's perfectly fine for a person to like end a job for their own selves, but it is kind of a weird thing for me to be just like, oh, I'm ending work, and this is something I'm kind of like doing for myself, like, to get kind of into a better financial position. And so, if this company's not gonna, pay what I need to pay to live as a single individual person, I have my own financial goals that I would like to kind of get to at a certain point in time. I'm not too concerned about like when to reach what goal by what age, like that kind of thing. But I am kind of a bit on the picky side of like, um, you know, not trying to do it. I don't want to like completely neglect any goals that I have, or completely just like be like, oh, well, this is comfortable to like stay here. Especially, like I've mentioned multiple times, it's like I know for a fact I'm not going to get the pay rate that I need to be able to afford to live the way that I want. Like, I already know that the company's not going to pay that. And the only way to get there is to get into a higher position in another way. And that's not really what I want to do. So there's not really a lot of room to move up. It's not commission based. Like, it is solid work, but for the amount of work we do, and then the student debt, because we all went to school and have degrees and things, it's like, after you've worked in a place, like, I feel like it's just hard, to have the type of job where it's like they don't really move you up with inflation. They don't move you up too much based on your time with a company. They kind of just don't really take that kind of thing into consideration. I would be working pretty much at the same pay rate until they decide otherwise. And I think we all know the story, because it's been, I've been kind of singing the same tune here for like a while now. But yeah, like, it is within my power to do something different, and that's kind of the whole goal of what I'm doing right now. Is I'm at the stage of doing something different, but it does take a lot of changing of habits and things that I've been doing for the last 7 to 9 years. But yeah, when I was talking with my friend about relationships and things, and another friend I've talked to about the same things, it's just kind of like, turn this thing down. It's kind of like really hard to really actually see, kind of like realistically, what does it really look like. Um, so, yeah, one thing that we're kind of noticing, or one thing that was kind of brought to my attention, was kind of what's happening in certain areas. So if you're familiar with like San Diego, and you know kind of like the Gayborhood kind of regions, like Hillcrest kind of area, near Bankers Hill kind of area, you know, the the heavily queer populated areas. Those areas, are relatively, they're not like overly expensive, but they're not super cheap either. And so, one thing we're noticing is that they are, I think on 6th Street, everything's kind of boarded up. So my friend was explaining something kind of scary to me when I thought about it more. She was explaining that, her apartment is, has been purchased, which is why she had to move in the first place. She had to move by January, and she was notified of this in July. And around July, everything looked normal. Like I never knew what was happening behind the scenes, but I only heard from her about it, and she kind of assumed it was like her building, because there's like a nail salon in the same building as like where she lived. It was like the same building, the nail salon and the apartment. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, the nail salon and the apartment. But she basically was explaining that the nail salon is no longer there, and then she found out that her neighbor's house got bought for $900,000. It was like an old house, like this old house that is not worth that much money. Like, he got his house purchased. It sounds like basically some type of big company is coming in, or people with money, wealthy people, taking out the small businesses. So these are like not, these are like boutique type businesses, like mom and pop, that kind of thing. Some people say that they had been there for like over 20 years. And so if you think about it, it's like these people who live there, as well as the residents and the people who work in the area are getting displaced, pretty much. New people are moving in. New people who can afford the luxury high-rises that they're building. And the excuse that the people gave to justify what they were doing with buying up pretty much a whole block of mom and pop shops, like popular names for the area. Like if you think of like this one Thai spot that I like called Lotus Thai, and all that kind of stuff, like just complete gentrification of the area. It's a very complex situation. It's like you can think of the complexities of it. It's like, yeah, if I were someone who had money to buy up a whole block and then reinvest it in luxury apartments that are gonna make a fortune, basically, it's gonna move in different people. Now, the areas near like Hillcrest, Bankers Hill, they're not like necessarily like impoverished areas, but you know, if you have, the way I see it is a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, if you have wealthy conservative people moving in, which usually wealthy conservative, usually that those are the people who would be more likely to be buying high rises. I mean, wealthy conservative people aren't necessarily always known for having the pattern of being accepting of like gay people and queer people. So what's to stop them from trying to push their money around Hillcrest and around the areas to try to shut down all these other businesses, all the gay bars, the gay clubs, the gay-owned businesses, and it's going to become just this completely gentrified area of like wealthy conservative people dominating the area. I mean, they already have. They've already bought a bunch of stuff, you know, and they're already forcing people out who won't be able to afford it. But their excuse is that, you know, they mentioned, you know, we don't feel bad. You know, at first we felt bad because, you know, we've never had to evict people or ask them to leave. These are good tenants. But now they feel like, oh, well, we're contributing to the housing crisis. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you're not necessarily contributing to the housing crisis because you're building luxury high rises that only wealthy people can afford. I mean, the rent controlled apartments over there had gone up in 7 years from about 1,300 for one bedroom to about 1,600. And then those were in nice condition. And if you look at other apartments in the area that are one bedrooms now, a lot of them can be near $2,100 in the same area, and not even as nice quality as some of the ones that were, you know, with the lower rent on that street. And so, you know, trying to move into the same area when you were paying 15 something and then trying to pay 2,100 for something that's even a lower quality from what you even had just to stay in the same area. I mean, these are problems that I see. I mean, I know, you know, if I were wealthy, you know, I would maybe have a different perspective because I know, you know, not all wealthy people are greedy. Not all wealthy people are, you know, trying to like just push their money around to kind of like meet their own needs. But we all know money talks, and we all know, you know, if they have something to say and they move into the neighborhood, somebody's going to listen to them, right? They're going to be listened to. Nobody's going to stop, you know, paying attention to them. People are going to listen to them, or they're going to just buy stuff up and make people listen to them and make it look the way they want it to look. Now, I don't know who's moving in, but if you have luxury high rises, that's a lot of people. If you take a whole block of luxury high rises, that's multiple units of people, of couples, of families moving in. I mean, I think they know where they're moving. They know that it's a heavily populated gay area. But, I mean, I don't know their agenda. If they're like, oh, we're just going to move there and then just like buy up the lesbian bars, buy up the gay bars, like whatever, and turn it into Vaughn's or something. Like, you know, I don't really know. I really don't know what to think. It's just kind of like there's a lot going on in the city that I've been like pretty detached from because I've been just trying to focus on this other stuff here. But I do kind of see that it's it's maybe not the easiest conversation to have. It's like I do understand it. Like it's easy to be mad about, but when people have money, they want to invest it in things that will grow. And investing in rental property, especially apartments, I mean, that's monthly income per unit. I mean, yeah, there's expenses attached to it as well, but that's money right there. And so it is hard for me to kind of knock it. Now, if it's wealthy gay people moving to these areas, I mean, that would be great, but I don't really know if that's what's happening. I mean, the people who bought it out, I don't know if they are aware of the demographic of the area. This is near like the area near 6th and Pennsylvania, kind of over by Balboa Park. But just, like a heavily populated queer area. It just kind of worries me to see a lot of change. Like, I don't know where the change is going to go, but change tends to go toward the majority. You don't usually see a lot of places, at least in this current time, where there's minority groups, whether that's ethnic minorities, gender minorities, sexual minorities. You don't usually see a bunch of minority groups coming up and making themselves profiting off of resources and everything. Like nowadays, that's not really something I've seen. Usually, it's minorities are getting forced out by this type of situation, and so. I mean, if you think about it, Gossip Grill is the only lesbian bar between the border of Mexico and San Francisco. I don't know how far the drive is. It's what, like a 9-hour drive north? There's no lesbian bars in Vegas. There's no other ones. LA doesn't even have its own lesbian bar. I mean, they have spaces and they have events that they create, but there's no official lesbian bar there. And outside of San Francisco and San Diego, there aren't any other ones. Like, maybe there's one in New York. I don't really know. But I think there aren't even 10 that we know of in the U.S. I heard less than 6. And I'm not sure if that's even a worldwide number. I don't know what Amsterdam does. There's certain places that I don't know anything about, but I think about things like that, and it's like those are the little places that we support. We go all the time. Not, it's not fun, but not because like it's a new experience, but it's like we support it. We spend our money there. We want them to succeed. We don't want to have to drive all the way to San Francisco every time we want to go to a lesbian bar. We don't want to have to wait for a taste event in LA or like an event in LA to happen. We want to be able to just go on a Wednesday, on a Tuesday, on any day of the week. And that's just one thing I can think of. Like, there's multiple other things that come up from situations like this, and I'm not trying to be negative or worry about it, but it's like it does feel kind of like this doesn't seem like it's gonna go away. Like, once one person does it and succeeds, another wealthy person is gonna follow that route and do the same thing, and then another one, and then another one, until they buy up every block that they want and turn it into what they want to turn it into, which, unless they're all like gay people, I'm very sure that they're not going to want to buy up all this stuff and turn it into like a queer environment. So I don't really know. I'm kind of I'm not thinking about like trying to be like depressed about the future, but it does not seem like that's what I would want to have happen at all. And maybe I'm thinking about this very one-sidedly. I don't really know. That's kind of where my head goes, though, is it might become a trend. It's a little on the close to home end. I mean, I've already seen other neighborhoods get bought up. But I don't know. And then, so yeah, that's kind of where my head was kind of as I was going to sleep last night. Just kind of thinking about like, wow, like this is a lot of change. Not all change is bad change. I can't really predict what's actually going to happen. This isn't meant to be like a whole like negative rant, but I mean, yeah, I mean, one of the big selling points for me with San Diego is that there's a queer environment. I don't know what it would look like if there wasn't one. I can't imagine living in San Diego if it was all like La Jolla or something. Like that just is not appealing to me at all. I mean, I love La Jolla, it's beautiful, but oh my gosh, like, you know, it's a whole different place, you know? It's a whole different world. And I think queer people need their spaces, you know? And it's nice to have them all together in one spot, not spread out all over town. Like, and, you know, WeHo has its spaces too, but WeHo's a different vibe than Hillcrest. You know, Vegas has their own vibe too. San Francisco has a whole vibe, but it's just a little. I just wonder what's gonna happen. I mean, I don't want to say that it's all gonna be bad and negative, and oh my gosh, things are gonna just go wrong forever. I don't want to act like that because I don't really know, but yeah, I guess we'll have to see. It's a little tricky to know because I'm not really in the loop of all this kind of news. I'm not following anything. I don't really know what's happening. I only know what I'm hearing, and it doesn't sound like it's gonna work out super smoothly in the favor towards what I would prefer. I would want a lot of gay people to move in and just create more gay spaces. I don't see that happening. And the places that were getting torn down, I mean, they cater to the gay people. They've been there for over 20 years, you know. They've seen people, you know, with the neighborhood, you know, they've seen people come and go and move in. And they know the demographic that they're serving there. And, you know, who knows if a new person coming in is going to understand that. Maybe they do. Maybe they are aware. Maybe it's wealthy gay people buying out gay areas to make it gayer than it is. Maybe it's not. I doubt it. I doubt that it is. But it's hard to know. I mean, like, nobody's like, hey, we're gay and we're just buying everything. Like, nobody's like announcing it. But I guess we'll see where this goes. But the reason why it all kind of comes up is like, you know, if I'm moving back to San Diego and I'm trying to live in a place that's kind of like that, what's gonna be around me when I move back? You know, I'm not trying to move into an area that's like prejudiced and doesn't have queer spaces and doesn't have diversity and has kicked out every minority group Um, I don't really want that. That doesn't appeal to me. But I mean, I've got really nothing against wealthy people. I just think they don't have to think about like how they're affecting the areas. Like I feel like from their perspective, they're thinking of the investment they're making and not so much about how they're changing the culture and environment. I don't think that's on their minds. And then with, you know, single income, you know, having a single income, on my end, it's like, you know, definitely, this thing is so loud. Okay, turning off this heater. Yeah, having a single income on my end makes it a little more challenging to kind of even predict like where I would be living, because if everything's getting kind of renovated and you know the prices are going to increase every time somebody moves, prices are increasing even with people still living there. I don't, it's kind of hard to like see how much money I even really need to be making. It's like, okay, like I'm trying to wait for the wall. Like, where's the wall? You know. But yeah, right now it's looking like near 2100 to 2500 is probably the amount to look for one bedroom. So I don't really know, but we may see. I'm kind of, oh yeah, I'm a little like, it's a lot to think about. Like, I don't know. I mean, I want to move back to San Diego with all my social circles here, but it's like there are also places that I love going, and if a lot of them get torn down, I mean, it's pretty sad to see. Like the place I was talking about, Lotus Thai, like I remember spending you know, an amazing Cinco de Mayo there, where a couple of my gay guy friends were like flirting with each other, and like it became like some ridiculous event, and it's just like, wow, it's no longer there. Like, wow. So, yeah, it's just a lot to think about, but not trying to put things on a negative note, but um, it's just, I'm not trying to be negative about it. It's just like thinking it through is like the change is like real. It's not something that can be ignored. And I mean, yeah, there are bigger problems too than like people building more gay bars. Like housing really is an issue. There are actual other issues that really are important, but I think, you know, also, you know, having places to go to, you know, it's not really something that a person can easily put a price on. I mean, when I choose places to live, I do focus on the diversity too. Like, that's a big thing for me. Like, I'm not comfortable living in, like, very, like, one-sided kind of places, you know? I mean, it's kind of interesting, like, the parade route for the gay parade, for the Pride Parade every year, is going to be going past these luxury high rises. So it's kind of like, I mean, I think they know where they're moving, but it's like, I don't know, maybe I should be optimistic and see what happens, but, you know, I kind of base a lot of my thinking too on history, and I don't think things are getting more diverse, but we'll see. I mean, usually when people move into a minority group's neighborhood, they're not trying to make it more similar to what the minorities there are trying to do. They're usually just bringing their own values to things, and their own perspectives, and changing the whole place. It's kind of weird because it's like, I know we don't really have, like in the US, we don't tend to have, lately anyways, a lot of wars on our soil, but it almost seems like, I mean, last night I was thinking of this term. I don't even know if it really exists or if I was just thinking of it, but it's called financial warfare. I was thinking about that, and I was like, it almost seems like the same thing. Like, people aren't coming in with guns and conquering and taking over villages and, enforcing their culture, but they're coming in with money and buying things up and kicking everybody out and enforcing their culture. And so it's kind of like not too different. I mean, maybe people aren't getting killed, but it is still similar. It's like when people go to war, a lot of times, sometimes it's survival, other times it's like, I want what they have, I want something else, I want that place, I want this real estate, I want this prime area, because it has something that's gonna provide more luxury for that group of people who's trying to take it over. And so that's kind of how it feels almost. Like, these people are trying to come in and take it over. And I mean, it's going to take a while for them to build, and a while until these apartments are ready. But I mean, all this has happened between July and December. There's just a bunch of places that are just gone now. They're boarded up. They're literally boarded up. The signs are off the windows. I was just there during June for Pride, during July for the Pride Parade. It was that weekend I was there, and like standing on that street, and everything was open, you know. But yeah, we'll see where this all leads. It's let's see what actually happens. But yeah, with that, I gotta get on with work. And thanks for listening.